Victims of an evangelical Christian who brutally beat teenage boys at holiday camp. Victims of a former QC accused of brutally thrashing boys at a Christian holiday camp say they have lost their chance at justice with his death. John Smyth, 77, is thought to have died of a heart attack at his home in Cape Town on Saturday. Smyth, an evangelical Christian, was known to the Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby as charming, delightful, very clever and a brilliant speaker. But he allegedly handed out up to 800 lashes to more than 20 young men during a 4-year period in the late 1970s to purge them of minor sins. Andrew Morse, who twice tried to take his own life after years of savage beatings, told the Daily Telegraph, "I'm a generally very forgiving person, but Justin Welby was the Archbishop of Canterbury. Jesus would not have silently protected the abusers, he would have stood with the abused." He said the abuse at Smyth's hands mostly followed a pattern of 5 minutes of prayer, followed by a beating, the brutality of which still haunts me to this day. Another victim, who uses the name Graham, said he was angry that the Archbishop did not do more when he learned of the allegations. "I am incandescent with rage," he said. "It was a wasted opportunity to address the most horrendous level of crime that has been known about for many years." An inquiry was launched last March by Hampshire police and the force is thought to have made a request for Smyth to return to Britain for questioning. Boys were said to have suffered the abuse after he recruited them into a cult. He met them at evangelical camps for public schoolboys run by the Iron Trust, of which he was chairman. Mr. Welby worked at the holiday camps in the 1970s but said he was completely unaware of any abuse at the time and first knew of the allegations in 2013. The summer camps, held in Dorset, were described as religion Sandhurst, intended to produce the next generation of elite Christians. But a secret report carried out by Iron Trust in 1982 described horrific beatings, sometimes until the boys bled. Smyth used the garden shed at his home to carry out many of the canings. The report's findings were not passed on to police. In a statement released at the time the allegations first surfaced, the Church of England said, although the Archbishop worked with Smyth, he was not part of the inner circle of friends. No one discussed allegations of abuse by Smyth with him. The Church is meant to hold itself to a far, far higher standard and we have failed terribly. For that the Archbishop apologizes unequivocally and unreservedly to all survivors. Andrew Greystone, who has worked as victim's advocate in the case, said of Smyth's death, "The victims are terrifically saddened. But, there's also anger that the police, the Church and the Titus Trust, which took over Iron Trust in 2000, had taken so long to start to engage with them. So, the opportunity for any justice has been lost." Last year, Smyth rejected the claims against him as nonsense. He left the UK decades ago, to work in Africa. In Zimbabwe, he was accused of physically abusing boys in his care at holiday camps he ran. After the death of a 16-year-old boy found in a swimming pool at one of the camps in 1992, he was arrested but the case was dismissed in 1998. He called the death an unfortunate incident. Last year he faced claims of inappropriate behavior and heavy-handed leadership at a church in Cape Town.